In 2019, no one could have predicted the two issues now driving the 2020 US presidential race. One invisible to the human eye, one caught on cell phone video for the world to see. The COVID pandemic shuttered millions in their homes and put the US economy in a coma. The suffocation of African-American George Floyd under the knee of a white police officer brought millions onto the streets to demand justice and police reform. These two events have upended President Trump's chances of re-election. His poll numbers have never been lower. The majority of the US public think his reaction to the pandemic was slow and focused too much on saving livelihoods and not lives.
People want to come back. I think everybody in this room realizes we have to come back, otherwise you have a broken country.
His backing of unproven treatments for COVID-19 and his reticence to push Americans to wear face masks has also diminished his standing. And then there was this comment.
I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside?
Meanwhile, the support for his Democratic rival, Joe Biden, has surged. Biden, considered by many as a lackluster candidate pre-pandemic, is now seen as more of a safe bet by a large proportion of the American public. Biden has largely confined himself to his Delaware home. Mocked by the president, Biden also embraced mask wearing and has conducted much of his campaign online.
His failure to take quick action made this pandemic more costly for American people in every way, in lives lost, and economic impact, an economic toll.
The president has tried to resuscitate his fiery rallies that helped propel him to the White House, but fears of infection have kept many away. And now the president has even cancelled the Florida portion of the Republican convention scheduled for late August.
The timing for this event is not right. It's just not right with what's happened recently, the flare-up in Florida. To have a big convention, it's not the right time.
Democrats are also holding a slimmed-down convention next month in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Former U.S. President Barack Obama is now openly campaigning online and on TV for his former vice president.
This guy has generated a sense out there that people are waking up to, that he ran by deliberately dividing people from the moment he came down that escalator.
Meanwhile, the U.S. has never been more divided. Protests have morphed into violent clashes with militarized federal law enforcement units as President Trump tries to cast himself as the law and order president and paint Democrats as anarchists. Democrats, meanwhile, are pushing for police reform and funneling stimulus money to poorer parts of the U.S. electorate to get through the pandemic. The resurgence of COVID-19 in states that opened their economies quickly has also complicated Trump's chances for re-election. His cheerleading for a rapid reopening sparked sympathetic protests. Now many states are reimposing restrictions, and now Trump is even openly recommending mask wearing. US President Trump is essentially pinning his hopes of re-election in November on a revived US economy, plus a lot of China bashing. Meanwhile, the Democrats are putting this election as a referendum on the US president and contrasting styles of leadership and policies. Normally, 100 days to the election is a very short time in any normal year. In 2020, it's going to feel like an eternity. And the race for the White House is still very much open. Nathan King, CGTN, at the White House.